Good evening, everyone. Let's put some light on the subject. My name is Cameron Cowan. I'm the creative director here at CameronJournal.com. If you know, you know. But I am doing a quick video this evening about the election. Thank you for joining me on my live yesterday. I did a long live on YouTube. And thanks everybody who stopped by. We had a great group of people all through the night. And I've had a lot of phone calls today. Obviously, the election result was not what I was hoping for or looking for. Longtime readers know I'm a very moderate voice, but I tend to lead with the Democrats. I have a whole story about my leaving the Republican Party and how I became more liberal. CameronJournal.com. Um, and um, and uh, uh, and so obviously I was, supporting Kamala Harris and was hoping she would win and was hoping we could continue on the path that we were on, difficult though it was, and now facing down a second Trump term at a minimum, if not possibly more Trump, if depending on how things work out. Um, I've had friends break down on the phone with me today. Um, I have I've already heard from some sources about how worried certain military leaders are, even about their own positions and all this type of thing. I will not go into that right now. Um, I have somebody I know who's actively looking to leave the country. Um, I've seen 3 ads on TikTok about exploring leaving and videos and ads and promoted posts and all this type of thing. I have been on Twitter off and on all day, probably to my detriment at this point. Um, I My mom texted me this morning and said, "Thank God the political ads are over," which I appreciate, especially since I've been traveling through swing states the last couple weeks. I saw a lot of political ads in Pennsylvania. Oh boy. Um, it's been a very hard day. I have not gotten a lot of work done today. I did write a great article called Election Redux on CameronJournal.com. It's on the front page right now. So Cameron, like my name, journal like you write in.com. And it has a lot of my thoughts about everything. I think there's multiple stories here. I think the chiefest one is people did not like her, and we knew that going in. I said back in August, you cannot switch out a presidential candidate in the middle of a campaign and expect to win, and the DNC may have just lost the election. Never have I wanted to be more wrong, but here we are. I think this is a classic case of it's the economy, stupid. Inflation was crippling for the Biden administration. I had one friend say we should have let Trump win in 2020 so the inflation would be his problem, and then we could have won now. I guess that's cold comfort. Um, I I think there's also a rejection of the value system that has been talked about, especially in online spaces, over the last 10, 15 years or so, really starting in 2014. Um, I think the most frightening part out of all of this is not only is there going to be any guardrails on Trump this time, they'll be unnecessary. They will never feel a need for that because this is a mandate. If it would Kamala Harris that had this result, this would have been a mandate. He's on track to get 312 electoral votes. They've got the Senate, they're probably going to get the House. Although there's still there's 25 open seats in the House, there is a modest opportunity, but I think they're going to get the House. They started with a 5-seat majority and they flipped 6. So Democrats have to be net 4 to get a majority, and I just don't see how that's going to happen. So we're going to end up with Republican unified government with a mandate, which means everything in their agenda is going to get implemented super fast. The trolling about Project 2012 has already long started. Elon has been tweeting ever faster. Matt Walsh has been tweeting ever faster. MAGA is completely empowered. That's the reality we now live in. They've won this election. They have won the Senate. They are probably going to win the House. They've got the popular vote, electoral college vote. This is a complete shutout. And now we get to live into the answer of what that means for us as a country, our day-to-day lives, and our economy, and everything else. Will any of his blustering rhetoric be real? Is a question. Will he be dictator on day one? Will we continue to have elections in this country? Another thing that I'm sad that I was right about, in 2009, I said that Latinos were the future of the Republican Party when I was still a Republican, way back then. And I was right. And tonight proved it. Last night, rather, proved it. And just Kamala Harris's underperformance everywhere. New York only +11, New Jersey +5, all this sort of thing. I mean, the numbers last night were depressing. And it gets worse. Every time new numbers come in, it gets worse. There's, honestly, 15 million fewer voters this time around. A lot of people are saying it's, Gaza and Palestine enabling genocide. It wasn't. It was inflation. It was immigration, which isn't actually as big of an issue as people perceive it to be, but it's been perceived to be this giant issue. It's cost of housing, it's cost of living, it's inflation. We're never going to get stimulus checks ever again. We're never going to have big economic stimulus when the country's in crisis ever again because it causes inflation. That's an electoral loser. You'll never see it ever again. The Democrats have nominated 2 women in 3 cycles, and both have lost handily. Good luck ever getting a woman nominated ever again. Although some people say I think the first woman president will probably be Republican. They're not wrong. It's a tough day. It's a tough night. I don't know how I feel about this personally yet. I don't know how it's going to affect me personally. It's a pretty tough day to be a minority. That's for sure. And I don't talk about that a lot, but it is. It's really tough to see what has happened and all this sort of thing. And so, I have a lot to think about. I have a lot to figure out. I'm still kind of numb. With a little bit of indifference. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Follow me on Twitter at Cameron Cowan, Instagram at Cameron Cowan, Facebook.com, Cameron L. Cowan. You can catch all the links at CameronJoel.com. And if you sign up at CameronJoel.com, you can get my stuff and the stuff from my contributors delivered directly to your inbox. And if you sign up for Cameron Joel Plus, you get to come on my Discord and hang out with me. So, keep that in mind. We'll keep going forward. Talk soon.